online. Of course, we do intend, as soon as it's safe, to return to the classroom. But even then, both of the programs I'm going to talk about today will continue to be offered online. So both programs, the IO psychology and the counseling psychology, you can complete totally online. You can complete them totally in person, or you can mix and match. So, in a given semester, you could take 2 courses online and 1 course in person, or, vice versa. We're organized on a trimester system, which means that we have 3 15-week terms, fall, spring, and summer. And our physical campus is in downtown San Francisco, about 2 blocks from the Embarcadero BART stop. So right in the heart of the city. For a number of years now, 4 years now, we've been ranked as the #1 university for adult learners in the country by Washington Monthly magazine, which is kind of like US News and World Reports for colleges. This is not something we apply for. They, evaluate many different universities and make an independent ranking of us. And, we feel that this represents what we have to offer really well. Golden Gate has always been a university that's focused on adult learners. And, I think it's something we do really well. And I'll tell you more about why as we go along. So if you come to Golden Gate, you have access to many different things in addition to the programs that you'll be taking. Those things include academic advising, tutoring, tech support, disability services, counseling, mentorship. Of course, we have a library with, quite a bit of online material, as well as an in-person library, a physical library. Even after you graduate, but of course also while you're a student here, you have access to a career center that has a tremendous number of resources: career counseling, workshops, webinars, networking, resume critiques, mock interviews. The Career Center really, I think is an important resource for our students, but also is an important resource for, our alumni. Many people make use of it for many years after graduation. This is what our physical campus looks like. The Agino School of Business is on the 4th floor. Everything is, sleek and high tech. And of course, we're not there at the moment, but we're looking forward to the time that we can all, get back into our physical location. So the 2 different master's degrees within the psychology department are the Master's in Counseling Psychology and the Master's in Industrial Organizational Psychology. And I'll talk about them both today. Just some demographics that we pulled for both programs. Pretty even male-female split, average age of 34, class size of around 15. Many of our students attend part-time, so that's something to really highlight about Golden Gate, is that it's a very flexible university that's targeted towards adult learners. So if you come to Golden Gate, you can certainly do a full-time load, which would be 3 or 4 classes per term. 3 is a full-time load, but some people do take 4. But you could also do a part-time load. You could take 1 course a term, you could take 2 courses a term, and you don't have to make a decision, beyond the semester that you're in. So, you could do part-time in the fall and then come full-time in the spring and then go back to part-time in the summer. You can take a semester off. There's a tremendous amount of flexibility in that way. All of our classes that are in person are held on, so each class meets once a week, and class times are Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at either 4 p.m. or 6:50 p.m. And that's true also for what's happening online right now. Those same class times hold. Here are examples of a couple of faculty from our programs. In the counseling psychology program, we have our senior adjunct professor, Kathy Langsam, who recently wrote a book on community mental health, 2 books actually, and received the California Association of Marriage and Family Therapy's Distinguished Clinical Member Award. She's been with us for many, many years, teaches our community mental health course, psychopathology, other courses. Certainly, somebody we're very proud of and proud to have in our ranks. Also, John Ford, who teaches some of our conflict resolution courses, recently published a book called Peace at Work, the HR Manager's Guide to Workplace Mediation. As you'll see when we get to the IO Psychology degree, conflict resolution is a big part of our curriculum. Okay, so let's talk about the Master's in Counseling Psychology for a minute. The Master's in Counseling Psychology meets the requirements for licensure, the educational requirements for licensure in California and in many other states for the MFT, that's the Marriage and Family Therapy, and the PCC, the Professional Clinical Counselor licenses. So with the 60-unit curriculum, you meet the educational requirements for both of those licenses, MFT, PCC, and people decide, when we talk with you a lot during the program about which license is right for you, whether you want to get both. By far in California, the MFT is the most sort of common, but in some other states, the PCC is more common, and it's becoming more common in California. So we want you to have a maximal amount of flexibility, especially if you decide to move somewhere else. Being eligible for both licenses makes the degree far more portable to other states. Licensure happens at the state level. As part of the Master's in Counseling Psychology, you do a clinical internship, which involves 300 face-to-face clinical hours. And as you complete that internship, you accrue many more hours that count towards your license. So the MFT license, for example, requires that you complete 3,000 hours total of various kinds of experience. And in our internship, you'll complete about 750 to 1,000 of those 3,000 hours. You then finish the remainder of those hours in what's called an MFT associateship, which you do after graduation. And I'm happy to answer questions about that if people have them when we get to the end. The Master's in Counseling Psychology is a 60-unit degree. It takes, if you're attending full-time, 2 years or a little over 2 years to complete. And, as you probably know, MFTs are in high demand right now, especially, this was the case even before COVID, but now with COVID happening, demand has really increased. Kaiser just announced that they're going to be training many of their employees to go back to school and get MFT eligible degrees because the mental health needs in our state are just so significant. These are the learning objectives for the counseling psychology degree. I'd really recommend everybody check out the psychology department website, because for both degrees, you can read the learning objectives, you can look at the syllabi for all of the courses, you can look at our faculty and read their bios. You can really learn a tremendous amount about our program that way. Our program in general, it's a broad-based curriculum that really focuses on all the areas of counseling psychology. We're very interested in what we call cultural humility. So being able to think about cultural difference in both the therapist and the client, and to integrate your understanding of that into treatment. We also have a strategic partnership with an organization called the Psychotherapy Action Network. They're an organization that advocate for basically patient rights. So they advocate for relationship-based depth psychotherapy for patients, and not to regard patients in purely economic terms. So, giving them the cheapest, briefest treatment available, but rather, what does this patient that I'm working with right now really need? And that very much informs our curriculum. We're training people to be psychotherapists, to conduct real psychotherapy with real patients. So the IO psychology degree I want to talk about for a bit. Also a degree that you can proceed at your own pace. Actually, let me back up and say one more thing about the counseling psychology program. Right now, everything is online, which is working really, really well. When the COVID situation is more under control, it will be offered in person and online. The online format is a live online format. So you're actually in a classroom live with your peers, with the professor lecturing in a live classroom. We do breakout rooms to do exercises online. So we really do try to simulate the full classroom experience online in the counseling degree. So the MA in IO psychology, again, you can proceed at your own pace. It has an optional internship, which is a semester-long placement which you do towards the end of your degree. And it's really about taking everything you've learned and putting it into practice. That's really what we're going for there. One of the cool things about the IO psychology degree is that it's a degree that lives inside the GGU School of Business, which means that for your electives, you can take courses in the MBA, the Human Resources degree, the Masters of Science in Leadership. There's so much available to you, beyond the field of IO psychology, so that the degree can really be tailored to your own personal interests. The IO psychology degree is 39 units, and full-time can be completed in a year and a half or less. And this is a degree that's offered both in person at our downtown San Francisco location. It's also offered online in a live format, so you actually are in a live online classroom. And it's offered online in an asynchronous format, which means that you definitely have interactions with your professors, with other students, live meetings with them, but there's no set class time. So it all happens virtually. And that's, for people that are working certain hours or who live in other countries. So we really have a very flexible degree here that I think offers a tremendous amount of value. These are the learning outcomes for the IO psychology degree. If you're interested in IO psychology generally, I'd recommend that you check out the Society for Industrial Organizational Psychology, the Society for Industrial Organizational Psychology, SIOP, SIOP. They are the professional organization for IO psychology, and they make recommendations about things that a graduate program should cover, and we've really tried to follow those recommendations. They also have a lot of really useful videos about the field of IO psychology. So, if you're interested in learning more about IO psychology, I think that's a really good place to start because, interestingly, the Bureau, the BLS, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, says that IO psychology is one of the fastest growing professions in the United States right now, especially here in California. So we're really excited about, being positioned to offer this degree at a time when this skill set is in such high demand. But, interestingly, at the same time, people often don't, fully know what IO psychology encompasses. I think of it as very much being about applying the field of psychology to the workplace. So it differs from, say, human resources in that way, in that you're really bringing a psychological lens to bear on organizational life. So, I think a lot of value here. We also have 3 different certificates which are available. A certificate in conflict resolution, a certificate in counseling skills, and a certificate in industrial organizational psychology. So if you get the IO Psych degree, you automatically get the certificate in conflict resolution because our 2 core conflict resolution classes are part of the IO degree. But you can also take it as a standalone certificate. We have a certificate in counseling skills and a certificate in IO psychology, which is available for people that don't want to jump into a full degree, but want to take some courses in these areas. So we've pulled employment statistics, and approximately 90% of our graduates are employed full-time after graduation. And these logos are actually of places that people have gone in the past year or two. So, you know, a lot of well-known names here that people have landed at. As I said, IO psychology students can also do internships, and these are some of the places that they have gone in the past year or two. You know, I should have also spoken about the counseling psychology degrees internship process. I'll do that in a minute. So enrolling at GGU, you submit an application online. Just by attending the webinar today, you will get an email with a recording of this webinar, and more importantly, you'll get a code that waives the application fee. We require a resume and statement of purpose only if your GPA is below 2.5. Otherwise, mostly what you need is your undergraduate transcript. There's also financial aid available, federal, state. GGU has some scholarships and grants. Some people are eligible for employer reimbursement. Our admissions counselors can talk to you about all of this, all of the different aid that is available, and really walk you through that whole process. We're also a yellow ribbon university, so if you're a veteran or active in the military, you have you know, pretty significant benefits to bring to bear on attending GGU. You know, before we jump into Q&A, I just want to say a couple things about the counseling psychology internship process. For both degrees, we have an internship coordinator on staff who maintains relationships with internship sites throughout the Bay Area and beyond the Bay Area. The counseling psychology internship is a 3-semester process, and we start meeting with you very early on in your program to think about what kinds of internships you're interested in, to look at your resume, to talk about, you know, the application process, the interview process. Usually an interview is a big anxiety point for people in the program, and I can just sort of tell you from 10 years of experience, people do not have a hard time getting internships. There's so many internships in the Bay Area, and we really prepare students well to apply for them. And, you know, I can't think of, in the 10 years I've been here, ever having a student who hasn't been able to get an internship or who's, you know, hit a roadblock there. We really do facilitate that whole process. So yeah, let's have some question and answer now. Probably the best way to do that, just so we don't talk over each other, you know, would be to type your questions into the chat box. So yeah, go ahead and do that. I'm also going to type in my email address just to say, you know, everybody, absolutely feel free to reach out to me at any point after today. You know, I know questions may come up later, or, you know, you're at a sort of choice point in terms of your profession. I'm really happy to talk with you, you know, in any way that I can help. Okay, so Ben, you're asking what's the schedule and the duration for the Masters in IO Psych? So good question. As far as duration, with any of our degrees, the answer in terms of duration is going to depend on whether you're taking courses full-time or part-time. So you could take 3 courses a term and be done in a year and a half. You could take 1 course a term, and, you know, in that situation, it would take much longer. So it really is a kind of completed at your own pace sort of thing. But if you take a full-time load, then you know, you can finish in a year and a half. I'm also sharing on the screen right now the curriculum for the IO psychology degree. It's a 39-unit program with 3 electives. So you can see the core courses here at the top. So we have courses in leadership, leading complex change or organizational change. We have courses in executive coaching, organizational behavior and development, 2 courses in conflict resolution, courses in consulting skills, organizational diversity, and then of course, key tools of the IO psychologist, applied psychological research and tests and measurements. And then for your electives, you can take really anything in the whole Ageno Business School that's of interest to you. Below, we've highlighted a few that are common for people to take, but there really are so many more options than that. So let's see, what else do I want to say about that? Yeah, so that's the IO psychology degree. You'll see on the webpage, you can click through, any of these courses and come down here and then see a syllabus.
So just to be clear, that was the master's degree, that advanced program?
That was the master's in IO psychology, exactly.
And what is the online availability of each of those courses, and is that in the catalog?
So if you're interested in online, if you want to see actually when each course is offered, you can look at I'm wondering if it's posted here. If you email me, I can send you a projected schedule, which will show you when every course is offered.
Okay.
That's probably the easiest way for me to answer that question for you. I mean, certainly you can look course by course here. You can, like if you look at tests and measurements.
Yeah, I get it, but it would be up to us to determine our own schedule, duration, etc., based on our availability. There's not a program or something where we would work through the program with a group of other people with a defined schedule of X units or courses.
Yeah.
Semester, whatever. It's all self-paced, basically.
So when you apply, when you're admitted, you're assigned an enrollment advisor, and then the enrollment advisor sits down with you as soon as you're here, and you chart out a path to completion to get through the whole program. So I'm going to take this course this semester, this course that semester, and of course she'll provide you with a projected schedule that tells you when every course is offered. But she or he basically sits down with you. I'm saying she because it is a woman. She makes a projected schedule for you as an individual student that fits with whatever constraints you're bringing to the whole situation.
Okay, thank you.
Rachel, does the internship program require the full 3 semesters? Are you talking about the counseling psychology program? And if so, it does require, okay. So you're asking about IO Psych. So for the IO Psych degree, the internship can be done in 1 semester. So it is definitely something people could do in a summer. The counseling psychology degree, it does require the 3 semesters. And actually we've been able to place people in internships online, using online platforms given what's going on in the world right now. So, that's actually true for both counseling and IO Psych, is that, things have gone online. In counseling psychology, we're still able to place people online. Agencies have moved to a telehealth model for the moment. So we're monitoring that very closely. Sylvia, the entire IO degree is 39 units. Yes, that is correct. You can see that here, 39 units for the whole program. Other questions I can answer for people? Other things that come to mind here?
So just to be clear, it's 39 for the master's level program, right? That's not for a bachelor's degree.
Yeah, we don't have a bachelor's in IO psychology.
Okay.
Sylvia, I see where you got the 42. Yeah, that's my mistake. I need to fix that. Mary Lou. So if you apply, if you apply online for one of the degrees, the moment you're admitted, you're assigned an admissions advisor, an enrollment advisor. So you don't need to do anything to get one. If you're interested in coming to GGU, the thing to do would just be to start the application process. This afternoon, you should get an email with a fee waiver code, and follow the sort of application process online. Somebody will reach out to you relatively quickly, and as soon as you're admitted, you get an admissions advisor. But if you have specific concerns, that you need answered now, I mean, you can ask me now, and you can also totally email me at any time. Sylvia, it should happen pretty quickly. To some degree, it depends on how how much traffic there is in admissions, but you should hear back within a couple weeks. Cassidy, the IO online courses. So we have online courses in IO psychology that are live and interactive and exactly the way I talked about. And you can also take IO classes online that are what's called asynchronous, which have less of that. They still have some of it, but they don't have an actual class time that you have to be at. So they're offered in both formats, and you'd know the difference based on how they're listed in the catalog. So you could actually make a decision when you're signing up for courses, which of the two kinds of courses you'd want to be taking, because the different types do work well for different people.
Hi, Sylvia. This is Mike, and I work in the admissions along with Tom. And I want to circle back to a question regarding how fast we are able to process the transcripts. And because of the current pandemic, our campus is physically closed at the moment, but we still have a staff checking mails regularly, especially with transcripts. The best way to send transcripts to us, of course, after you submit your application, the best way to submit your official transcript to us is to request your university to send us electronically. Usually, they would know what to do. They give you option whether you want them to send your transcripts to us by the mail or by a third party called Parchment. So if your university gives you the option to send transcripts electronically, that is the most preferred option because that's the fastest. And many universities, after you make the request, they are able to send the transcripts to us electronically within 3 calendar days, which is fast. And by the moment that we receive it electronically, our team will be able to receive and process the documents, and then you will also be seeing it after you log into your application and see the status that we received your transcripts. Hope that answers your question. And again, in short, if you have given the option to send us electronically, please do so.
Yeah, that's really helpful. Thank you. David, obtaining your degree, I'm assuming you're saying your undergrad degree. If so, then yeah, there is some flexibility. Mike, can you speak to that? You might be able to speak to that better than I can, but I know that that people can apply, be admitted, and then their final transcript can come later.
Yes. So David, and again, this is Mike with the admissions. If you are graduating this summer, and if you are looking for the fall semester, my suggestion is you can wait. You can submit the application first. Submitting the application is always the first step. And after you submit your application, you will likely receive an email with the follow-up instructions. In your scenario, likely, I would suggest that you wait until your degree is conferred, and then you request your official transcripts afterward. The reason is that if you request to send us the official transcripts before your degree is conferred, we might probably need you to send us your transcripts again when you finally have your degree. So it makes sense that you send us the transcripts after your degree is fully conferred, and your degree conferral information is on the transcript, that solves all the problems. But of course, you can always submit an online application first, because it is always the first step to initialize your admissions process. And the sooner you submit your application, the sooner you are able to get in touch with our admissions team, and we are able to solve the problems together with you along the way.
Thank you. Yeah, that's helpful. Ben, yeah, so why should we choose GGU? What differentiates you and provides the differential value of your program? It's a great question. I'll speak to the IO Psych degree in particular, because I think that's what you're interested in. You know, I think a couple of things. You know, one big one is flexibility and a focus on adult education. So our degree works really, really, really well for people that are working while they're students. The flexibility, I think, is just a huge plus. Flexibility in terms of how you take classes, when you take classes, in what order you take classes. There's not a lot of prerequisites. Classes are in the late afternoon and evenings. You know, I think all of that, you know, goes a long way for the working adult who's going back to school. I think, you know, another thing that GGU offers that's unique is an IO psychology program that's situated within a larger business school. So many different programs that you can draw from in crafting your curriculum. Whereas if you look at some of our competitors, you know, their IO psychology degree is in a psychology department, not situated within a larger business school. So, you know, you'd lose out on that. And then I think, you know, GGU's alumni base is really large. So, you know, we have a lot. GGU is a sort of known factor. It's a known factor out in the world. And, you know, there are many, many alumni that you would, you know, be able to be in communication with, and a larger community that you'd be joining, which I think is really valuable.
Thank you. That was a great explanation.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Other questions people have? You know, I just want to say again, you know, I'm really happy to talk with anybody offline, you know, by phone or by email if you have questions. You know, if you're on the fence, let me know. I can arrange for you to sit in on a class and get a better sense of, you know, the sort of vibe of our university and our students and our professors. You know, anything I can do to help you, you know, make this decision, because it is a big decision, you know, where you go to graduate school. It has a lot of implications for, you know, certainly what the next few years are going to look like, but, you know, also your whole career. So, you know, don't hesitate to reach out to me if I can help in any way. Happy to have, you know, a phone conversation or an email conversation. I'm definitely here as a resource. And the slides, I can certainly send you, you know, the PowerPoint, but I think also you will automatically get a email today with a recording in it of the webinar today. But if you send me an email, I can send you the PowerPoint too. It's totally fine. Yeah, so pleasure talking with everybody today, and you know, best of luck to you. I hope to see you here at GGU. Okay.
Thank you, Tom.
You're very welcome. Take care. And thank you, Mike. I appreciate you joining us today.
You're welcome, Tom. Thank you so much for coming in for today's webinar, and I'll be sending you guys a follow-up email with the code waiver.
Thank you, Mike.